In this video, I'm going to show you how to go from this to this in about 5 minutes. This is a completely automated dashboard that got created because of my spreadsheet that's connected to my Google Drive. And every time I upload a new spreadsheet, the following Monday, it's going to upload or update my existing dashboard. So stick around because at the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to make these dashboards automatically. If you don't know who I am, my name's Taha. Me and my business partner, Mark. We run Prompt Advisors, where we help enterprise companies build custom solutions. And we run one of the biggest AI communities on School with over 1,400 members who are learning how to build AI every single day from us. Now, I bring that up because a big issue that people have is most companies or most people deal with data that looks like this. And it can be really challenging, first of all, to keep this up to date, but also to visualize in a way that's meaningful. Now, Claude just released something called Live Artifacts a few weeks ago. It allows you to have a constantly updating Claude dashboard design that you can share with your people if you're on the Teams plan, or with yourself if you don't meet anybody else. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So on this spreadsheet, I've got a sales report, and I've got the week, the specific region we're talking about, the sales rep leads, qualified opportunities, deals closed, revenue, target, etc. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save this. All right, just come in here and download it. And I've already got it downloaded, so that's fine. And then we'll hop into Claude. Now, if you haven't installed Claude, the Claude app is what I suggest. Go to Claude download, and it's going to be the first link right here, download Claude. Just go and download that. If you aren't using Claude and you're selling ChatGPT, I would suggest switching to Claude. You can do the same thing with GPT. I've just found Claude to be a lot smarter. Some of the recent GPT models have gotten really good as well, but I've gotten used to Claude, and I think there's a lot more content about Claude because of how much further ahead they were compared to GPT for about a good maybe 6 to 8 month period. But if you're using 5.6 Sol or Terra, those models are also really good. Now, once you've downloaded Claude, you're going to want to open up the Claude app. It's going to look something like this. You're going to have to log in. Once you're in here, there's actually two modes. You're going to see Claude Chat, which is very much the same as asking essentially ChatGPT with whatever question you have. But what we're going to use is actually called Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork, essentially all it is think of it like having a version of Claude that can perform tasks for you. It can open up your browser and it can click into things. It can run scheduled tasks, etc. That's what Cowork is. And there's even Claude Code, which you might have heard, and that's the even more advanced version of Claude Cowork. Or you can even view Claude Cowork as a lighter version of Claude Code with some rules to make it easier for people who are less technical. Now that I'm in Claude Cowork, I'm just going to drag the file that I just downloaded into Claude Cowork, and I'm going to ask Claude, I want you to make me a really pretty dashboard that represents this data, because I need to share this with some of my teammates. And ideally, this would live on a live artifact that gets updated as I have new reports. I'm going to show you what an artifact is right after this. I'm going to press enter, and you want to make sure that you're using Opus or Fable for this. Claude has a bunch of different models you can use, right? From the least intelligent would be Haiku, which are faster and cheaper. And then you've got Sonnet after that. Then you've got Opus, and then you've got the biggest one, which would be Fable. And all of these have their pros and cons. The easiest way to look at it is the smarter a model is, the slower it is, and also the more expensive it is. So while yes, you could probably run thousands of requests on Haiku, Fable, you might max out after a few dozen in quick succession, especially if what you're trying to do is very heavy. So what should the dashboard lead with? And now Claude's gonna ask you a bunch of questions. In this case, it says what should it lead with? I would say I can either pick from the answers or I can just tell it what I want. What I'm gonna say is I want the status of essentially company-wide how we're doing, and then I want this to be ranked by sales rep. Plus some data quality issues, a duplicated APAC row on 07, inconsistent region names. I would say clean, silently, and note it. Visual style, I like light, clean, corporate. And then it'll now start building this live artifact. And you can view an artifact as, if you've used Google Doc or Word before, you know you can have shared versions of a document. That's what an artifact is. People were having to share Claude instances, or they were having to share like HTMLs or pages or PDFs, which just isn't ideal if the data you're putting in keeps evolving or keeps updating. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, released something called a live artifact, where this is essentially a constantly updating file where if the input changes, the output will also change without having to reshare it everybody else. In more practical terms, I'm going to make a live artifact right now with this data, and I'm going to share it with somebody. And if the input changes, as in, let's say I made a new spreadsheet, well, the person I shared it with can keep the same link and they will see the new data. That's the benefit of using live artifacts. So now I'm just going to wait for this to finish, and we'll come right back as soon as it's done. And what's really cool about what we're building is this is not even the best part. Is later on in the video, I'll show you how to actually connect it to Google Sheet so that it automatically brings in data even without having to manually put it in, because you'll notice right here that I had downloaded the file and I went up through in Claude. The reality is I don't have to do that. I can connect Google Sheets, and I'll show you how afterwards. And it took a few minutes, but we now have a dashboard that looks like this. And the best part, if I open this up, it's complete, like it works completely. And buttons are interactive. There's data nodes. It'll tell me our quarter to date revenue, deals closed per week, average percentages, etc. If it's down or higher than last time, I can hover over specific components here. I can look at revenue, deals, all of this stuff from one prompt. Like that's kind of what I want to emphasize here is this is how easy this stuff is to make now. All right, like gone are the days of having to create reports by hand. God, that was awful. Look at this stuff. And now I can share with anybody. If I want to share this, for example, with, I got this. And if I now go into my artifact, I can see this artifact right here, which is super cool to see. If I pop it out, I can see it on its own. And then from here, you essentially have two options. If you're on the team and enterprise plan, then you're going to click this button here and you'll have an option that says publish artifact and where you can publish it to the web and then you can share it with anybody who you work with. If you don't have a team plan, which is about $20 a month, if you're 2 people, then you're essentially just going to have to download it as a PDF and then share it. That's really sort of the big difference between those two plans. Now I'm on the max plan, which means I don't have the publish button right here, but this is where it'll show up. Now, like I promised, if you want this to update constantly, you can also, by the way, just tweak this by writing in here saying, I want to change this color or I want to have this graph show up first. And you can just edit it by talking to it. The last thing I want to show you is how do you connect this to Google Sheets directly. If you go into your settings and then you click on connectors, here you're going to see a bunch of different connectors. I've got my Google Calendar connected here, but I want to add Google Sheets. Now my Google Sheet is probably going to be in a Google Drive. And then in that case, all I have to do is just use Google Drive. Click in here. I've already got it connected. In case you don't, this is where you would connect it and just tell it where to find the latest sheet. And once you've done that, the only thing you have to do is have the schedule task right here. Press on new task, create with Claude. And then you'll say something like, I want you to track this specific folder in my Google Drive for every week at 5 a.m. Then if there's a new file, I want you to take it, update my existing live artifact with this thing, and you're done. And once I press start, it'll ask you a bunch of questions about always allow, etc. And I'm actually gonna go find a link for this Google Drive. Now within this empty folder, I'm gonna put our weekly sales report, and then I'm gonna take this entire folder, copy it back into Claude, and tell it this is the only link you are allowed to check. Remove that, paste that in there, and there you go. So now it's gonna ask me a few more questions every week. I would say weekly Monday 5 a.m. which becomes a new file. Any file needed in the dashboard. How should be updated when a new file shows up? Replace the data kit design. I like that. Want to be told when you run updates to dashboard? I would say push only. And this is the most important prompt, which is exactly what we just spoke about. Every Monday at 5 a.m. I'm gonna press schedule and then I'm done. Now that artifact that I just made is gonna get updated every single Monday at 5 a.m. assuming there's a new spreadsheet within our Google Drive. Now I just use that as an example. I could have connected directly to QuickBooks or to Zoho or to GoHighLevel and that could have populated my artifact. My point is you can run these to be scheduled whenever you want, and assuming there's a connector available, you can connect this directly to the source data. Now I make a bunch more of these videos. I'm really trying to get a lot more consistent on content. So if there's something specific you want to see, something you're trying to solve, please let me know. I will try to make a video about it.